All right. We have been, I've been trying to get live for a minute now. So I think I've finally gotten live. And I don't know if anyone's going to join and see this live with me, but if they do, then I will gladly be happy to answer any questions or anything that we can do live. My point of doing this is I've had a couple of requests, couple of questions about the time frame it takes to do a full shave. Now, I'm a little bit more thorough than most. I do a three methods or three-step process to get to my head shave. Most people are probably going to get away with just um, one of these three steps, maybe a maximum of two. I do all three, not only to kind of display that for you, but also it's just how thorough I am. Now, full disclosure, I have been given the gift and the curse of the fact that my hair grows rather quickly. And now that I've gotten the thinning, it makes it a lot more hard to maintain a smooth baldy. Um, I have to shave if I'm going to maintain that perfect baldy and not grow out my hair like this. Probably every 3 to 4 days, I'd have to do some kind of maintenance. It's not this full process every 3 to 4 days. So if you're watching this back, don't get worried. It's probably just one of the steps, either a touch up with a trimmer or electric shaver, using one of those devices, something like that. Or if your skin will tolerate a fixed blade. Now, obviously, not everyone is gonna love fixed blade. Fixed blade is not for the sensitive skin. You can get razor bumps depending on if your skin is sensitive. So that's gonna be down to genetics, environment, um, how clean you keep your blades, and how fresh your blades are, technique, all of those things. The trimmer and the electric shavers tend to be a little bit more friendly to people who are new to it. Obviously, you have to get the muscle memory and the skill to use a fixed blade. If you're, think about it. If you're shaving your face, you got it, and you're using a fixed blade. And when I say a fixed blade, just to make sure that I am not leaving anybody behind, I mean the blade does not move itself. Yes, the head might pivot and twirl and do all those things that in these Gillettes and all the, but a fixed blade is there is no mechanical part. You are just manually shaving with, and then you have your electric trimmers, whether they're plugged in or not, they're wireless. And then you have an electric shaver that's normally like what you'll find when you're looking for stuff like called like a foil shaver. Those are those old school rounded heads that people use. Or I'm gonna take out my electric shaver in a second here and show you. It is a multi-headed one. Those multi-headed ones that are probably more than 3 to 5, those are intended for skull shaving because the surface area is quick. You want to be in and out with this process. This is not something that you want to take half an hour to do, even though it seems like I'm taking half an hour to to basically get started. But I am fighting a little bit of dry skin. I have been working on that, been using some more expensive deep moisturizer and so forth. Also in my beard, this is a lot of improvement. I had some flakiness going on that I had to battle with. Haven't fully won yet, but I'm getting there. I'm up to 4 viewers, so I'm doing all right for my first live. Again, any questions, guys, I will try to catch them in there. Big ups to my plus one, of course. That's my partner in crime. I'm not gonna act like that's someone behind the scenes. But again, anyone that wants to join in, have any questions, you want to do your thing in there, you want to be the first person to send me a gift, I will be more than gracious. I will show you a couple of different things that I use. And I will show you some alternatives because I know not everybody's going to have all these things. Not everybody's going to have the budget for all of these things. So, what do I use to shave? Now, I'm not probably going to use this first item tonight, but that will probably be because I'm live and I have a camera in front of me instead of that. But what I have is a trifold mirror. I'll have a link to this somewhere on the channel and in the live. Ooh, we're live, folks. Here, the trifold mirror is something that you can usually put on the back of a door. Think of it this kind of setup here. It'll have some kind of handles like this. You put it over the door like that. And depending on your height, you know, you 6 foot boys are not gonna make it a little easier on yourself up here. Us down in the 5 foot crew will be down here. And you can open this out. And what that allows you to do is see this from multiple angles. Now, if you do not have this yet, I don't expect you to have to wait until you can purchase this before you can get to shaving. If you have any like hand mirror, you can kind of work on just using a mirror that's already in the bathroom and kind of use that. I would tend to say that the method of using the bigger mirror that it's faced to you and the smaller mirror to kind of look at what you're doing, the best method is going to be the feel method. So if it feels smooth, it is smooth. When I'm shaving, it's not going to be quite the same with a trimmer. But when I'm shaving, if I rub my hand, especially in the against the direction that the hair grows, I can feel that this is smooth. And as we do the shave, you guys will get to see that. I'm up to 6 viewers. I am elated that I've gotten that far. So please, if you have any questions at all, know the premise of what I'm doing here is just a head shave. This is what the channel is about, you know, Max staying sharp and all that. So I'm gonna do a shave of the baldy, kind of line up my beard. Another thing on disclosure is no matter how often I do this and how used to doing this on my own face I get, I am not a barber. I have not gone to barber school and done any hours or anything like that. So I do not pretend to be an expert. I do, however, do this quite frequently. So I have built up methods and watched many of said barbers and people like that. Trying to see how quickly your hair grows. When was the last time your hair was shaved? Okay, good question. So as I was saying, I was blessed with the gift and the curse of my hair growing very fast. I've heard this guy show this was like 2 weeks for him. I wish this was 2 weeks for me. This is about 7 or 8 days max. And this is it holding up very well. My thinning spots is here and then up here, and my hair is jet black. So the you can see the damage when it grows out is there. And if I want to maintain a perfect baldy, I have to probably maintenance this look every 3 to 4 days to be safe. Again, that does not mean that I am doing all of what we're going to do tonight, you know, in succession every 3 to 4 days. I probably just take out the electric shaver, and from there I can kind of just take the next step of kind of maintaining. It's kind of think of like if you did a deep clean of somewhere, and then every couple of days you just came and brushed it up and just kind of maintained what you did instead of just kind of like piling the laundry up to this, you know, a full bag, and then you got a full laundry day. So that's basically what it is. My hair, gift and the curse, my hair grows fast. When I was younger and I had long hair, I had braids and stuff, that was amazing. Now that my hair started to thin out and I have my bald spots and my thin spots, um, it's now more towards the curse side, but you know, I still work with it. 3 to 4 days. Every 3 to 4 days, I would have to maintenance it. If I don't, I end up with this. Now I do give my head a break, from shaving and purposely grow this out. Probably rock a hat. I'm not. I'm still not loving this look for me. Me at my age, I don't feel like this is the look that I want to rock. So this is what I get to. But anyway, all the babbling aside, let's get into the shave, and I'll show you the 3 step process and all the tools that I'm going to be using and some substitutions. So, of course, I'm going to be using my favorite trimmer that I've gotten, which is the Stylecraft Ace. This is my favorite trimmer, cordless or non-cordless. I do have a Stylecraft that is corded. It's a little bit sharper than this, I will say. You tend to get better quality out of your corded, but of course, then you are tethered to one place. It's a little easier to travel with this. This takes up a little less space. But this is my favorite trimmer just because it's lightweight, without feeling cheap, and it does what I need it to do in record time. So the first step I do is I use this. Second step is to go in with some kind of fixed blade. Of course, I'm getting a lot of feedback in my comment section about switching over to a safety blade and the benefits of safety blades. I've even had a really, really nice company that makes exceptional handles, and their own blades send me out safety razor. Those safety razors are your old school razors like that, and there's just one blade in there. I'm still getting used to that. Then to finish it off, I will use an electric shaver. Of course, I should have been a little bit more prepared and had this out. But usually for the face, an electric shaver will be something like this, some kind of tri head, something like this. Now, if this is the Philips Norelco version of this, I am a big fan of Philips Norelco, not sponsored of yet. Of course, Philips Norelco, you want to change that anytime, be my guest. But I'm trying to find something more for the use on the head. Of course, when you're live is when you can't find what you're looking for. Now, all of these things that I'm using that are in my arsenal, you will find full reviews for, or like some videos containing them on my channel, on my not live videos. This is a Sejoy. This is an 8-head shaver. As you can see, it's massive. And of course, that takes quite a bit of time off of when you're using this. Like I said, when I'm maintaining this, or if you're not a fan of using a fixed blade or using the trimmer or whichever one of these 3 methods that I'm going to do tonight you want to add to your arsenal, this definitely is pretty quick. So all that intro aside, let's see how quickly we can get through this. First thing that I do will be usually I'll go and bathe, condition, make sure that everything is dried and those things, or at least wash the hair that day and condition just to make sure that the scalp is not dry. I don't use my trimmer on my wet hair, but I don't want it to be something where I have this like flaky or dirty skin or scalp to be exposed to my blades, for my tools purposes in maintenance and maintaining my tools, and for my own benefit, because as I'm cutting and trimming, if the scalp is dirty or the hair is dirty, I'm cutting and putting and giving, exposing my skin and scalp to that, which will lead to your bumps and all of those kind of things, the stuff that you don't want to happen. I did wash fairly recently, I think this morning, which is not usually my timeline, but we'll work with it. And I'll show you how quickly I'll get through this just to show you real quick. This is not a huge head on this electric T-shaped trimmer. Um, and I am still going to get through this fairly fast. Let's get to it here. And there we go. Now, as you can see, it's a bit dry. I am trying to make sure that I'm not allergic to certain oils. So usually I've been using some kind of oils and stuff like that. As I'm saying, I'm fighting with some skin issues right now. As you can see, I am, of course, aided by the fact that the top doesn't need much off here. I still go over this area because there is still a thin layer of hair that grows here. I know it doesn't look like it, but and if I take a little bit longer to answer any comments, I do try to make sure that I answer all my comments. It's just I'm getting used to it, guys. This is my first time here. You gotta take it easy with me here. Now, a little bit of a rookie mistake that I've made here is not having all my stuff out and together. What I want to have out when I'm using a trimmer is just like when you go to the barber, to have some kind of brush to kind of get through. And as you can see, same thing I warned you guys about, I kind of have, is that dry scalp flakiness going on. I do plan to jump right into the shower after this, so still fighting the fight. Now, as I said, usually I get out the three-way mirror. I could put it here. I am trying to avoid getting the hair all over there on the ground, but this is a little harder to feel your way through. When it's down to the electric shaver or the fixed blade, you can kind of feel your way through it and kind of know that you've done it. You're obviously, while you're doing this yourself, you can kind of feel where you've touched up. But if you have a mirror, even a little hand mirror, you can kind of just hold it and see what you haven't touched up. But nothing is going to beat when you can eventually get your hands on something like this. Kind of put on the back of a door. Because as you can see, it aids in the fact that even if I'm looking in this first mirror here, I can see the side mirror and I can actually see the last mirror here in the back. Quick glance at the comment section. Sorry, I'm getting a little off-screen instructions here about my presentation. I gotta work on my public image, guys. Now, one of the things that I find a little irritating with the tri mirror here, I'm gonna be honest, this is gonna be like a little mini review, is that I kind of felt like they should have included like either like a suction cup or something behind it to keep it flat, because as you can see, it kind of tends to want to close itself up. I kind of defeat this by just throwing like a rag or like a hand towel behind it. It kind of flattens out, and then I can manipulate these to stay where I want them to. So I do want to get closer to you guys, but to be able to see the back of my head, I am obviously going to have to kind of show you. And like I said, what the three-way mirror, I'm looking in this first mirror here. This allows me to see out of my peripheral, the second mirror, And in this mirror, I can see this back mirror to kind of check if I've left any spots undone in the back here. Now, forgive me if there's anything I'm not touching on. Of course, you can use your trimmer, your T-shaped trimmer, the face towards the cut. I use it this way here because I'm not doing any like fading or anything like that. So I'm not very concerned with that. In most timings, you'd probably want to be doing this, especially if you wanted to do like zero and then come back and kind of fade in with more of the attachments. I'm not going to be using any of the attachments. I'm going for a zero up top, and then we're just doing the line work with this. Remember, guys, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to put them in the comment section. But of course, if you just want to sit and watch, see the madness along with me. Now, I have been thinking another thing that I probably want to introduce is my first video that kind of set me on my path for doing this was basically Black Dad Shaves, and you can check that video out on here. It's kind of like a tutorial thing. I've been thinking about if you guys have any questions, any kind of questions, pose anything, I've had one comment that has stuck with me since for the year that I've been doing this on YouTube. Was a guy was asking me a couple of questions, and he was like, after like 3 or 4 questions, he was like, "Yo, my bad, bro. Like I didn't have no pops around to kind of, ask these things to," and it touched me not only because of the father thing, but it touched me because like I think too many times we don't realize that there are a lot of things that people assume as men we're gonna know. And if we're not taught those things by anybody, time is just gonna pass and we're either going to have to go and seek finding it on YouTube like this, or we're gonna have to do without. I mean, that I definitely have people coming for my masculinity card if they find out my age and that I don't know how to drive manual. Like, yes, I know the basic premise of clutch, sync the clutch, and going to first, always going from first, and those things. But I never got taught that by a father figure. I have cousins and those people, but those people never had the time to, and as time passed on, just like with shaving, I had to kind of teach this to myself. So, if there are any questions that you guys have, please, feel free to ask them, even if they're not directly related to shaving, if you know what I mean. I am going to start a little bit of a series of some advice that you're not going to want to ask for, but you're definitely going to want to have. As I said, you're going to keep on trying. When did you start shaving your head? I got a good question there. So I started shaving late 20s, like basically the beginning of my 30s. I had to switch it up. I got tired of the long hair and cut my hair off. And when I cut my hair off, I noticed these two areas here kind of had that like widow's peak, the Count Dracula like pullback thing, and I kind of did the brush thing and the cutting it and having a barber. I never wanted to have that look like the barber was pushing my wig back kind of look. And then back here started to thin around like right around that age, 29, 30. And I just always said, if it ever comes to it, I'll just go for the baldy. And without stopping, as you guys can see, if I wasn't stopping and yabbering about everything, I can get through a full trim on my head in about 4 minutes. Now, like I said, you can stop here if just a buzz look is your desired look. As you can see, this is much better than the Zinedine Zidane look that I had going earlier. Shout out to my boy. That's one of my favorite footballers ever. But um, there are a couple little spots again, just to use the T trimmer, pull the ear back, just kind of touch it up. Like I said, this is a little harder to use the feel method that I was talking about. But no time flat. That's that. Now, what happened? The feel method. You're actually going to see me use this in a sec here. The feel method is basically if you don't have access to another mirror other than, the mirror right in front of you, if you don't have a little hand mirror or you haven't gotten the chance to get the trifold mirror, with a fixed blade or an electric shave, when you're really getting a smooth shave, you can kind of feel your way through this and it will almost never fail you. Of course, the best thing to do once you have someone is to have someone kind of check you out. Like once you're done, make sure you haven't had any little spots like, oh, you missed a spot right here or there. But what you basically are going to do when you're using the feel method is you're going to shave a spot and then rub your hand there. You can start using the feel method up here to get the muscle memory and the feeling of that in the front where you can already see. So by the time you get to the spots that you can't see yourself back here, what you're going to actually be doing, and I'll kind of just do like a fake of this real quick, take it off, is you're kind of just going to go one time with the blade and then rub the hand in that direction. One time with the blade and then hand in that direction. And each time that you do that, you will feel the texture difference. This is like a buzz cut feeling all the way around. You'll feel the smoothness there. The other thing that you can kind of do when using the feel method is make sure that you've gone in two different directions. So what I like to do is do one going this way, do a shave coming this way, and go all the way through, and then go back and then do up and down. So horizontal and then up and down. Now, which one comes first? That's not important. It's not like it must be done horizontal first and then, sorry, horizontal first and then vertical. But whichever one, but the two is just to make sure that you've done that. And then in both instances, I am doing the feel method there. But like I said, if you start up front here where you can actually see and do that feeling, you kind of build the muscle memory and the feeling of what it kind of looks like. Like I said, if I wanted to, this is pretty much enough for some people. Maybe they don't want the absolute two pop, shiny bald head. This is enough and it already gives you that. You're good to go in about 4 to 5 minutes with a T trimmer, even if it's not the biggest head on there. Second step is to get in there with a fixed blade. So this is where I grab what I'm going to use as far as my shaving lubricant. Now, what can you use for shaving lubricant? You can use pretty much anything that's going to agree with your skin. The most common things you're going to see is shaving cream or gel, of course. In my case, I'm using a shaving soap. This is a much more classic method. I'm using an Art of Shaving one, and I'll build a lather for you and show you how I do that. You can use, the shaving cream that comes in the cans and stuff like that, or the pump head ones. If you're getting the fancy organic ones, like kind of like what my wife likes to use for her legs, or you can use conditioner. Conditioner is a much cheaper alternative. Yes, conditioners can get expensive, but you're basically doing two things. You are moisturizing and conditioning the scalp and the hairs that are below where you're shaving while using that. So it's kind of a two for one kind of thing, and it's much cheaper than shaving cream, much more neutral smelling than most shaving creams, especially the like big brand, big box ones. They tend to have that old grandpa musk smell. Not something that's super lasting, but if you don't want something to clash with it, get your conditioner or something like that and use that. You want to use conditioner more than shampoo, because shampoo, while it'll do the same thing, it is not as good a lubricant as the conditioner, and it also is drying. Less is more with shampoo. You probably want to shampoo like a ratio of like 1 to 3 with your conditioner. And what I mean by that is, for like every one time that you shampoo, you probably want to just shower or do whatever you're doing and just condition it. Otherwise, you end up really exposing the scalp, the hair follicle to like excessive amount of drying, right? So I'm going to show you how I build my lather with a soap. But like I said, you can be using soap. You can be using, your traditional shaving gels or creams. You can even use coconut oil if you don't have any allergies to that, or you don't have any issues with that. That works excellent. It is a very, very good lubricant. It does take a little bit of getting used to if you've used something else in the past, because it is very slippery. It will run down on you. The viscosity is not thick. It doesn't stay in place, especially when you put it on your big peanut and your head starts to melt it just from your regular body temperature. But it works excellent. The cleanup with that is surprisingly very easy. If your skin will allow it, I would, suggest trying that out. That is a good alternative as well. All right, I get my soap out. So the first thing you want to do is you want to wet where you're going to shave. Now you can just do it like a normal person. And I am one person away from double digits here, so I am in la la land. Thank you for everybody, no matter even if you decide to comment or not, for joining me here. Oh, bounce back down to 5. There's how quickly we get humbled. Or you can get dramatic and get out the spray. Now, besides just being very dramatic for camera, what I like about the spray, besides the fact that you don't have the water just running, is you want the area damp. You don't necessarily want to look like you just plunged your head in there. I actually kind of overdid it a little bit here. I get the soap out, get my dish, get a little bit of water in the dish. Now, what's going to be important is making sure that you wet your bristles, because this is what's really going to build. Just whether you call this the what were they calling these? Um, you know what? I'm blanking on the name. It's Forgive me, guys. I have a toddler. It's like 1 a.m. for me, so um, but something not or yeah, you guys help me out in the comment section there. But basically, you just want to Get the back of your soap or the front, it doesn't matter whether it's the front or the back. Get a nice bit of lather going on in there and get into the dish where you have a little bit of water. Now, as I've sang the praises of conditioner, if you want, you could always put a little bit of conditioner in here. But the art of shaving soap that I use, the shaving soap that I use, like I said, it's not very drying, even though the lather builds up, and it is a soap. And whether you want to spin it in clockwise or counterclockwise, guys, that stuff really isn't all that important. I happen to be left-handed, and this just feels comfortable for me. But whether you go in this direction or this direction really won't make much difference in the end. Whatever you do, whether it is clockwise or counterclockwise, just repeat those steps each time you do it. And the only reason that you're doing it is just the muscle memory. You know, if I got on here and every time that I shaved, I did it in a different direction, I just would make it harder for my hands to get used to it. We have any gamers out there, anybody like that? After a while with shaving, especially this frequently, what ends up happening is you get so used to shaving that your hands know what to do without you kind of thinking about it. Kind of like that scary drive home where you reach home and you weren't even really thinking about it. You kind of were in like on autopilot. Now, you're going to hear a lot of things or read a lot of different things conflicting about if you are using the fixed blade method. First of all, do not attempt to go quickly if it's one of your first time. Give yourself time. This is not a long, time consuming process, but if you need to shave, don't give yourself like, oh, I have like 10 minutes to get out the house, because that added pressure will lead to mistakes, will lead to you either cutting yourself or doing something that you don't want to do. As I was saying, the controversy and conflicting information you're going to get a lot of the time is about going against the grain. I personally do not have issues with that. The idea is that if the hair is growing in this direction, you don't want to trim it this way, because that won't let the hair cut at a certain angle, and then it will lead to razor bumps. I am very thorough about using astringents after I shave with my razor and on my blades, even during and prior to and after use. I do clean all my blades down with alcohol. I tend to not use the alcohol directly on the skin. Obviously, some of the alcohol, even though I washed the blades, does get on the skin, but I never really spray my skin with alcohol anymore. Just alcohol is just a little bit too rough for me. So I'll show you the astringent that I use. And I don't get razor bumps. Now, like I said, some of that could be down to genetics and the level of sensitivity, environmental things, all of that. So I don't knock those who say, don't shave against the grain. I find that if you don't shave against the direction that your hair is growing, it's not very smooth of a shave. If I'm going in the same direction, like my hair grows forward, if I shave this way, it'll still come out pretty smooth, but not as smooth as if I go at least like perpendicular to the way the hair is growing. Again, up, down, left, right, whatever you want to do, as long as you're not doing this and slicing, it all works. And as I'm gonna show you the feel method, um, southpaw, of course, I just go like this, like right here. I'm not sure if it's showing up on camera. I can kind of feel that here feels smooth and here does not. And that comes from using the feel method. Now you can apply more of that. Make sure you have a little cloth here to the side, not just for the face, but also for your hands, because you want, even though everything else is all lubricated and wet, you want your hands to be as dry as possible. Watching one of these YouTube barbers who's been doing it for years. He said a quote that I've stole from him. I want to give credit. I got to find out the guy's name one day. Um, Wet hands are the enemy of a smooth shave. And it is true. You know, your handles can get wet. You don't want to slip, especially when you're fixed blade using anything like that. Yeah, like I'm still trying to remember this thing. It's like a badger knot is I think is one of the names you'll find this under. But if you look for shaving brush, you know, it'll come up in the description. Now, behind the ear initially is a little tricky. You want to fold it out of the way, whether you're going back or front. Couple small smooth strokes, and you're never really leaning into this thing. Think about the pressure that you apply on like writing. If you're putting more pressure than that, or even the same amount of pressure as you are, you're probably putting too much pressure. That's why people like the safety razors. The safety razors are heavy, and while you think that would be counterproductive to shaving, what ends up happening is the safety razor does all the work. You kind of just apply it to the skin and then you can just pull it against the skin, like really gently. This I kind of, because it's kind of lightweight, I have to kind of apply a little bit of pressure. And because I've been using this for years, that's what's making the transition to a safety razor so much more difficult, because I'm used to having to kind of apply a little bit of pressure onto it. But this having 3, 4, 5 blades in it, I will say, versus a safety razor with the one blade, you get just a smoother shave, if not a smoother shave in some cases, with a safety razor than you do with that. It's just the back and forth between the two is, you know, it's a transition. So get on to one of them. Most people will suggest a safety razor and then stick with that one. Because again, it's all about the muscle memory. Like this speed that you're seeing I'm going right now, I'm only getting away with this for two things. One, years of experience and living through nicking myself a couple of times. I still tend to, if there's, you know, like a hidden little bump somewhere or something like that, you know, you'll have that. It'll happen. It is what it is. Just if as soon as you feel the nick, raise the razor away, you know, apply a little bit of pressure and some cold water, you'll be fine. Um, yeah, so it's the years of that and the muscle memory of how much weight I can apply. And then the fact that this isn't a brand new razor, there is like a little bit of added speed that comes with when these are not dull, but like not as they have been dulled from a brand new razor. If it's a brand new razor, I'm a little bit more cautious, a little bit more tentative about how quickly I get through these parts. The other thing with the feel method, I know I'm kind of bouncing all over the place, is the feel kind of gets you used to how your head is shaped. You know, if you have little spots on your head that, you know, some people are very insecure about how their head is shaped. Listen, no one has a perfectly round head, barring a one or two examples. You're gonna feel little contours, little areas that are maybe flatter, little areas that are a little bit more round or like rigid kind of shape to your skull. It is what it is. That feel method kind of allows you to feel with your non-dominant hand the shape and kind of trace that feeling with your hair. So what you end up mimicking is like kind of like if you were to do this with your hands. Only one is the blade and one is the hand feeling that. And that actually gives you this weird practice stroke that gets in there that allows you to get up to speed with that. Fixed blade shaving is a little longer process, but without stopping and explaining and doing all of that, I will say you'll get through your fixed blade shave maybe 10 minutes. Again, with no caution to really worrying about, you know, which areas I'm trying to fade or do anything like that, because I'm just doing the baldy. Now, as I was saying, I use the alcohol to clean my tools. I use actually this is a facial toner that I'm using here, but I use witch hazel as my astringent. I get all the benefits of alcohol without any of the harsh burning that I used to get with alcohol. I still, if I go to the barber shop and they do a little spray, I will still rub down my fresh cut with alcohol. So I'm not, you know, I'm not chastising you for using it. But I just found over the years that the same benefits that I was burning my head with alcohol for, I get out of this without the burn. So as you live and you learn, you get past the burn. I promise, no more corny rhymes. Now, pretty much between those two, the trimmer and then the fixed blade, I pretty much am done. I am going to use the electric trimmer just to kind of not only show you, but I do usually use all three methods. Question could be, or the question I would be asking if I was you in this comment section is, why do you do the trimmer if you're going to go back and use the fixed blade? And the thing is, one tool aids the next. If I go in and go straight to the fixed blade razor, I can when the hair is as thick, but I am clogging the razor. I'm giving the razor more longer, thicker hair to try to work with, and I'm giving myself more difficulty, more to have that skill around. So why I use the trimmer first is to kind of get the area down to that buzz cut feeling, and then I use the fixed blade. The fixed blade will kind of let me know how that is. Now, as I feel here, I'm feeling pretty much pretty smooth. You guys let me know if you see any patchy areas. There's like one little spot here that kind of feels like there's still a little bit of hair there if I go in a certain direction. And that's why I end up using all three methods, is because sometimes I won't have someone there to kind of check up on me and let me know, if I have any spots. So this makes sure that I end up with a thorough cleanup here. This is one of probably the fastest methods. Again, as I showed you, I have the Philips Norelco tri-head. The tri-head I kind of use more in the neck area and the bearded area, just because it's a smaller area. You can get into these areas when you clean up your beard there. But if you're doing the head, not to say you can't use it, you do want to probably get something that's like a 5 or 8 head, um, trimmer, preferably something with some kind of flex in it. And the reason being is it just takes up more surface area and it's quicker that way. Now, this is wet or dry. I like to get in right after I finish a shave because there is still moisture on there. And dry shaving, even though you can do it, I never really suggest. If there's not even some lubricant from like some oil, some kind of conditioner, some kind of something, whatever you're going to treat with. So in this case, if you're going to put like a beard balm or some kind of like aftershave or something like that to moisturize, you can kind of start to already use that. You're just doing some small circles. Hmm? I'm getting reminded to make sure that I add in how you guys can support the channel. All the things that I am using, I've either reviewed, and you can either see full reviews on my channel or the links will be below listed to the tagged products. All these things, obviously, I personally use, as you can see in my arsenal. Um, but if you want to check out the full review of these products, you are more than welcome to. And if you're interested in getting your hands on them, why not use the link? It is getting into Christmas time. Treat you or yourself, you or yourself, treat yourself or, a loved one to some of these things and get them early. Get these people on your Christmas list out the way early so you're not scrambling in December and picking up something in the drugstore on a corner. I've been there. Been there last year, matter of fact. It is not fun. And again, trouble areas tend to be where there might be folds. Of course, for whatever reason, if you have folds in the skin, you can always pull the skin taut, pull the skin upward, and pull the crease either out or just pull the skin out to expose more of the actual hair follicle. Now, believe it or not, using the feel method as I do this is still not perfectly smooth. It might look that way, but you can definitely feel your way through if there are any little problematic spots that still might have hair. But that's it. I know this live has taken a little bit of time, but that's mostly been because I've been stopping and yapping in the middle of it. As you can see, when you're actually doing, whether you're doing the trimming, if you're doing the fixed blade, or if you're doing the electric shaver, each one of the methods on their own, if you're not talking to your YouTube audience, maybe you can get through. And I would say maybe the fixed blade is the longest it's going to take, and that's still not going to take more than 10 minutes. So me doing all of these methods, I'm done with this in still less than maybe 15, definitely in under 20 minutes. And majority of people are going to get away with using if not just one of these methods, maybe one or two of them. Maybe they do this. They can't do a fixed blade because, sensitive skin. So you go from you tea trimmer to electric shaver, or fixed blade and electric shaver, or something like that. The electric shaver is probably going to be the one that you're going to be using in congruence with something else. You can do these two. I could have stopped there. But it's usually this one that plays well with one of the other two methods. Again, why I use more than one method is they set up each other to make it easier. So the tea trimmer takes the hair down to like the buzz cut, and then from there, whether you're using the electric or the fixed blade, it makes those smoother and easier to do. You can start with any one of them with the hair thicker, but if you do that, you are giving yourself more of a challenge. You're giving your tools more of a challenge, more cleanup time, and all of that. And why do that? Why not just make it simplified? Now, I am thinking about ending the live before getting into the beard. I know, but the beard, basically, I'll show you my line work that I do with the beard. Again, I am not a barber, and nor do I pretend to be one. I will cheat. I will use all kinds of tools like this one, even though the Jamaican in me hates the name. This is the cut buddy. I actually saw another one of these on TikTok recently that I want to get my hands on. It's super cheap. These are not very expensive items, and you can kind of use either this if you want to have something to kind of trace a line, the line work with. There are these measurements on there if you want to get that precise in there. And there are multiple sides to this in case you are blessed to be using it here to kind of put some curvature into that. Or if you want a flat line, a straight line like for the sides of your beard, you can always use that as well. If you can't get, can't find one of these kind of tools out there, just a regular straight comb will work just as fine. Obviously, you won't get that curving method in there. That is the benefit of that tool. But if it's straight lines you're looking for, jawline under the beard, trying to tame this area from the neck beard to the actual beard area that you want, you can always use something like this. Another benefit, though, with something rounded edge like this is this kind of makes this cutting this very easy to do. You kind of just slide it along as you cut. Let's do that real quick. I want to end the live and get some sleep because all my parents out there will tell you if your little one is sleeping, sleep while your little one is recharging, because when they wake up, they do not care how tired you are. Now this thicker hair here on my neck kind of shows off the difference between the this thicker hair area here kind of shows you what I was saying the limitation of this is. This hair here for me also obviously it goes with what kind of texture you have and those kind of things. But on the neck where the hair tends to be a little thicker, you can really see that even though I did trim it up and it looks much better than it did already with me just getting on here with the tea trimmer. The issue that you have is this is not very smooth. So if you want to make it smooth, again, I still have some lather. I'm going to go in there with the fixed blade. If you can't use a fixed blade, this is where you can jump in with this or a smaller version of that. This is why I say this one is really intended for when you're using it on like your beard and facial area. This is why you'd want to use a smaller one, because this is a little bit more refined. And this one that I'm particularly using right here, I think I forgot to tag this one. I'll try to get it on the video. It's a little fancy. As you can see, it has a blue light that illuminates. And when you apply the pressure to the right amount of pressure, it should be green. If you apply too much pressure, it'll turn into this like almost orangey color, kind of telling you, hey, kind of ease up. Now, are you always going to apply the pressure that it's telling you? No, but the color also does get you used to the muscle memory. So if you realize, I got to pack some punch in there. So even though it's telling me yellow, this is what works on my skin. You kind of get used to that. Or if it really is the green area, you kind of see. And the big ass kid in me wants to always try to keep it in the green area, but and you can see that is much smoother. But as I feel that, I can still kind of feel the difference there. I'm not super concerned about this. We can always go for the What's this, Jason Statham. I'm really bad with names and actors. That kind of like five Stamos. Sorry, my apologies to all the fans out there. Jason Stamos. That kind of like dirty 5 o'clock shadow kind of look. Some men can pull it off and make it, make that rugged look very well. Some men need to clean up. I feel I am one of those men that need to clean up. At times, at least. So again, that's why I would use the two methods. But again, this is where I use either a comb and shave, or I use something like the Cut Buddy and trim and shave. Last thing I think I will do before we end the live here. I've hit the 1 hour mark, and I think that's about as much blabbing as anyone is gonna watch me do. It's just my line work here. Now, usually, I will go back to getting out the three-way mirror because that allows me to be looking at it without looking at it through my peripheral vision. If you don't have a setup like that, you can do this, but the problem becomes you're kind of looking out the corner of your eye. And when you have that three-way mirror, even though you're looking, you are still shaving the same place. You're kind of able to look on it straight off because of the reflection of the that one mirror in there. So get the line work where you want it. Now, apply some pressure with the comb because you don't want, as soon as you put this trimmer down or whatever you're shaving with, to kind of knock it out of the way. So you want to apply a good amount of pressure to the spot just to keep the hand steady. And as you can see, it's not perfect, but it looks very neat. I am dealing with a little bit of dry spot there I'm going to have to work on. But you can see the difference there. I got to 15, guys. I am so. Oh, listen, if we get to 20, I'm going to feel like I hit the lotto. But even if we don't, thank you to everyone that joined. Whether you just was like, what the hell is this nonsense? What is this guy doing? If you have any questions about shaving or anything like that, let me know. Again, I am YouTube's. Huh? And again, if you want to support the channel, you can. But everything that I've used here, I made sure that I have tagged in the live. But if you miss it somehow, just message me. I am good about answering my comments. I obviously co-sign it if I use it on myself. Now, weirdly enough, you would think this doesn't work. One of the things you want to kind of do, and you'll learn this from your own barbers, is the movement of your jaw. Sometimes to get line work right, you're gonna have to kind of do like the lips for here, or kind of forcing that jawline, you know, putting pressure here to make those straight lines. And you'd think you'd want your face relaxed when you cut, and in some spaces you are gonna want your face to be relaxed. But what this allows you to do is kind of mimic holding your skin taut or tight. And again, I'm applying a little bit of pressure on the comb just so that I don't bump with the trimmer the comb back and push my line work away from being straight. I'm gonna come here and just gently kind of touch it up. And that's that. Now, whether you want to use the curved line on the face, I'll show you real quick. Again, make sure you apply some pressure so you don't just push this thing right out of your way. Or you want to, try to handle it. If you like the straight line look, you can always use that. This is when you're doing straight lines, you're gonna kind of do the twist of the face. So if you're doing this side, the lips are coming this way to kind of stretch the face. If you're doing this side, lips are going that way. So away from that area. Now, all of our faces, all of our noses, that's different. Use landmarks on your face that ends up working for you. What I end up using is like my nose to do my mustache. So I will use the edge of my nose here for how thick I want it. But that gives me landmarks that are always on my face. Again, thanks to everybody that did join me. Yeah, someone said in the comment section the hard part is making the lines match. Um, Making the lines match is why I say use landmarks on your face, because your face is not perfectly symmetrical, but it tends to be close to symmetrical. And if you use certain landmarks on your face, not only do you always have them, but you'll always kind of get the same line work. My wife tends to like my mustache a little thicker, depending on how thick or thin you want it. That's where you want to get the mustache, the line work for the mustache. Um, Again, here, what I kind of use is my nostril, the line of my the tip of my nose here, and then I come in. Always start a little thicker than you think you want it, because you can always work from there. If you start where you think you want it at and it ends up being a little further on, there's no way to fix that. You can always go back if in the same thing for your hair. If you're using a guard, for example, you're not doing a baldy, and you think, oh, I need a 3 guard here. Put on the 4 guard, see what the 4 guard does, and then move down to 3 guard. Because if you're using a guard that's too thick, you can always move down. But once you've cut the hair too low, the only thing you can do is wait for time to pass and for the hair to grow back. Again, you're gonna line of my nostril there. up top. Everybody's favorite part in my videos, the duck lips. What the duck lips do, besides look ridiculous and get me views, is the duck lips allow me to get those like stray hairs that kind of just hang down, the food catchers, um, from the lips, and then you can kind of use that to do your straight lines. Now, what you want to be very careful is in these areas here. You're going to have to kind of use the blade here, and if anything, kind of use something to kind of make sure that you don't touch it. Because what happens is if you did it flat in this area, once you came up here, you see, you'd be cutting the mustache up top here. So you really want to make sure that you're at an angle when you're coming into this area. On the lips, you can do it flat. And always comb down any little stray hairs to make sure that you don't have any long hairs hiding, waiting until you're finished to come down. But as you get into here, this is where you have to make it. This is the surface area. You got to come in very much at this angle and kind of just touch the area. Now, some people like this to be rounded. Some people like it to be like a perfect square. I kind of like a little bit of both. So what I tend to do is kind of do like not a duck lip at the bottom, but kind of just doing this like almost like you're stretching with the tongue. You're kind of doing that like very like strong chin. And then I comb it back. And I bring it back to there. If you're not a fan of the square, you can always shape it how you want to. I just tend to kind of push it back a little bit there. You want to be careful that you don't make it too weird shaped in this area. I did push this back a little bit, but it's fine. I don't plan on doing line here, and this will kind of grow in on its own. But you can kind of see where not only the hair naturally grows, but where some people would like a more natural rounded look. And some people want, that more, I guess, almost like 2000 like pinstripe line work. I did say I was going to end the live. I'm pretty much almost through all of this, at least with the trimmer. This is is a very a mistake that I made that I'm glad I kind of made on the live to kind of show you. This is not going to be perfectly noticeable right now, but I'm going to point it out. This side is a little higher than this side. And the problem is, obviously, unless you're going to draw it back in, you have to make that this side match now this side. I didn't necessarily want it to come down this low, but it happens. I'm not super annoyed with it because my beard isn't like really thick. When my beard is more thick, I have the full glorious beard going. It looks a little funny when you bring this down a little too much. But again, landmarks. So I don't end up keeping on doing this over and over. The another thing benefit with a comb is that you can kind of, you know, make an area for how far down you need to come. In this case, I need to come to about here. And not perfect, but definitely a stark improvement from the beginning. And that's it. You could always make your line work more crispy by using a fixed blade. And of course, you can put on, um, you know, a guard, a one guard or something, and do a little bit of fading just so that you don't have this like sharp line of where the beard starts and where the baldy ends. But after that, a little bit more natural looking beard. Perfect for this length of hair. As your beard grows out a little bit thicker, you probably want more of this to be involved, just so you don't have that this weird appearance of this big thick beard here with this like baldy area here. But that's it, everyone. I did take about an hour and almost 20 minutes um, to do this. But again, when you're doing this at home, you don't have to stop, answer questions. Not blaming you guys. Again, thank you so much for sticking around. And we almost got up to 20. I am humbled and blessed that people even popped in to say, what the hell is this guy doing? Again, if you have any questions at all, please, please, like you've been doing in my comment section, ask, comment, critique, have your suggestions. I'm willing to add anything that I can learn from you guys as well. Thank you so much for joining me, especially to my ladies. I have a predominantly male audience, as you can imagine, but I do have a couple ladies that do watch me. Even had a couple of ladies that watch me because they rock a baldy. So don't feel like the baldy's only for us men. But yeah, I am fresh to go straight into the shower just to make sure I don't leave any of this on the pillow. Get some rest. You guys do the same. Again, last but not least will be to finish up with some astringent on the face. I would do it with a a cotton, but I'm about to jump in the shower right now. Anyway, but just make sure, even if it's just like the great value like witch hazel, you will still get a really good value of that. That's not to say that you have to use Thayer's facial toner, but of course, if you do want to get your hands on some facial toner, I did have this marked in it. All jokes aside, again, thank you so much for watching. I'm about to sign off in about starting to count down now in about 10. Unless you guys have any questions, 9, 8, 7. Any last minute questions, anything at all, any comments? I see a couple thank yous again. Thank you guys for making my first live a special one. Until we man, I almost forgot my sign off there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you for joining me. Until the next time we're cutting up, stay sharp. And I will see you in the next one.